to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I am Blake Harrison and joining me as always is Stuart.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. All the better for that excitable and slightly exotic name intro there. Thank you.
Exotic. Okay. All right. I'll take that. I'll take
the
that.
way you're flicking your tongue as well. I'd say exotic forward stroke erotic.
Okay. Well, you know, if you're watching on YouTube out there,
Harrison's
maybe
bringing
it's your
sexy
thing.
back. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, baby.
We are obviously here to discuss UFC 319, aren't we?
We are indeed.
But before we do that, let's shout out our sponsor, which is, can you do the jingle, please?
Fat Candy.
There you go. Official jingle of Fat Candy. Proud sponsors of the MMA Fan Show, and they do freeze-dried sweets, and we recommend them. And head over to their TikTok or their Instagram or their website, and then when you're buying stuff, use the discount code SWEETMMA and save yourself some pounds. Right. Blake Harrison, UFC 319. On paper, it looked like a really exciting card. We will obviously be breaking that down on today's show. But where and when did you watch it? Did you stay up?
Absolutely not. No, too old for that shit, mate. I woke up Sunday morning at about 6:15, straight downstairs, threw it on the telly. Very quickly, my son came downstairs, and it's just always the way that I'm sort of watching it with my iPad, trying to write little notes and things like that. But you do get distracted by the kids and things like that. But yeah, overall, though, I thought it was a really great card overall. We'll obviously go into individual fights in a moment, but overall, I was pretty happy with the card itself. How did you find it?
Yeah, absolutely. I had to work at the nightclub all weekend, and I had to go and work there Sunday morning as well. So I kind of had a little sweet spot where I watched 3 of the fights I was most hyped for, and then went to work and then come back and watch the rest. So I had to stay off my socials and stuff. And but yeah, I thought overall it was really, really good. Obviously a great night for UK fight fans, which we will discuss a little more. But should we start with the big fight? You know,
No, I don't want to start with a big fight. Stu Whiffin. There's only one place I want to start, and that is Lerone Murphy. Yes. Lerone Murphy, unbelievable spinning elbow knockout.
What did we say last week?
We will talk about the main event in a minute. Let's talk co-main, because this was where it was at.
So where were we at? Where we was at last week, right? So we was like, look, we're huge fans of Lerone, you know, and we was talking about that, and we was talking about how the fact that I think, you know, he's the forgotten man in that division, even though his record is amazing. But what we said is he hasn't got that big highlight reel. And I'm sure, if I remember rightly, we said he could be, you know, really in the mix of things for title discussions. If he can pull off something mega in this fight, it could rocket him and put him on the lips of everybody. Fuck me, did he do that? And
I mean, talk about picking your moment, rising to the occasion. I mean, the complaints about Lerone Murphy over the last few years has been, yeah, he's undefeated, but he's not exciting enough, or there's too many decisions and all this kind of stuff. Oh my, he picked the biggest moment of his career so far. Co-main event, taking a fight on 3 weeks' notice against a guy, yes, on his debut, but with a lot of hype behind him. And he's picked this moment where he's had more eyeballs on him than ever before to go, you think I do too many decisions? You think my fights aren't exciting enough? Wham! spinning back elbow.
Yeah.
I mean, Pico, he gave him one look. It didn't look like a full connection, but like a half connecting strike whilst Pico was on the ground. But Pico was out cold whilst he was still stood up when that elbow hit him across the temple. It was a thing of beauty. And it makes me think that he's just so great at getting that timing down.
That's
Because
what it is.
he obviously... He struggled with Makwan Amir Khani in the round one of their fight 4 years ago, whenever it was. But after the first round, getting taken down and having a difficult time of it, he got his time in, boom, knee, knockout. Since then, it's been decisions. And in this fight, Pico looked like he looked great. At times, Pico looked really good. Pico looked like he was getting something and getting the takedown. Lerone did fantastically to keep getting to his feet. Pico was getting the takedowns. He was hitting him with some... I'd love to ask Lerone
Let's talk about Pico's boxing, because like some of them digs that he was putting into the body were fantastic. He looked fantastic. He really did. And at the time, I'm going to live with you, I was thinking, oh, this is looking a little trick. Then Lerone landed that knee, and I was like, he's getting his time in here. And like... Yeah. And then, obviously, as he said post-fight, he was like, I knew he was going to be a pressure fighter and he was going to come at me. And I knew that once I'd got my time in, he'd make a mistake and I'd move on it. And, oh, mate, I literally was screaming at the top of my voice when he done that. Me
too.
I was so
like,
happy.
The kids ran in, I was like, oh my God. And the kids ran in like, what? I was like, this is what? It was just absolutely incredible. And it's like, I'd love to ask Lerone what those body shots felt like, because it looked like Pico ripped him to the body maybe 2 or 3 times. And it looked very uncomfortable, to say the least.
I'm sure and he said that was the hardest round he's ever had. Didn't he say
really?
That? He said something post-fight about that was like one of the toughest rounds I've ever fought.
Well, I mean, yeah, the guy has done it though, hasn't he? This is it now. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but effectively, he's called for his title shot. Volkanovski has come out and said, yeah, let's do it in December. And Dana White has said, love it. The guy, he couldn't have done this any better. He was in that room. He was in the Bilal Muhammad, Merab Dvalishvili, Magomed Ankalaev, that room that Leon Edwards was also in at one point, where you've done enough, but they don't want to give you a title shot. And all of a sudden, he's just gone, boom, don't stick me in that room. I'm kicking the door down to the belt. And it looks like, I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, look, I would like us to get into reasons why it possibly couldn't, but I think it is. I think it's going to happen. You've got Movsar Evloev out there, but Evloev got injured, couldn't fight Pico. I think Lerone with a finish like that is like, I think I've done a leapfrog over Movsar here. You have got an interesting contest with Jan Silva and Diego Lopez coming up. And Jan Silva, he's not on the win streak that Lerone is on. However, he is a devastating finisher. He's knocking people out all the time. And if he does that to Diego Lopez, who's like ranked number 2 or whatever Lopez is, the UFC have a history of going, this guy gets more finishes, we'll give it to him. But the fact that Lerone got this win in such devastating fashion, with so many eyeballs on him, because the Hamzat Dricus fight was so anticipated that lots of people have been watching that co-main event. And the fact that Dana's come out and said it, Volk's come out and said it, like, I think this is Lerone's shot. I think he's done enough. And before this fight happened, I was thinking, he deserves it. But I think he's still got maybe another fight to go, or he's still got to wait to see what the outcome is of a couple of situations before you can guarantee he gets the title shot. But after that spinning back elbow, I'm like, nah, mate, he's the front runner now. And I'm so pleased for him.
Yeah, I couldn't have been happier. And I think, I think Gene Silva is obviously a fan favourite, and he has got a real decent, record of spectacular finishes. But I don't think he's up there quite as high as Lerone yet. Irrelevant, I think that if he does get that win over Lopez, which I don't think he will, that will put him much higher in the rankings than Lerone. I'm interested to see if Lerone has any movement in the rankings, because obviously Pico was unranked, obviously due to it being his first fight in the UFC. So I don't know if Lerone, where is Lerone at 6 currently, isn't he, I think?
Yeah, Lerone 6. I think he's got to get, look, with a finish like that, all love to Arnold Allen. Mm-hmm. He's just not been active enough. Not necessarily his fault. He gets injured, all these stuff. I love Lerone. I love Arnold as well. But Lerone, I think, has to go over Arnold. I think you put Lerone over Ortega. It's maybe harsh to put him over Yair Rodriguez because Yair did just beat Pitbull. But I think Lerone should be looking at number 4 in the rankings as of, the next couple of days. Whether they actually do that or not, I'm not sure. But I would have no problem with Lerone Murphy being 4th in the rankings and with title shot next. Why not? Why not? I mean, let's do a little bit of a comparison of resumes, because I think that might be an interesting little look, and I haven't done this properly yet. Let's compare Lerone Murphy, 17-0-1. Now, in the UFC, he has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. Ricardo Ramos, Douglas de Silva de Andrade, Makwan Amirkhani, Gabriel Santoff, Josh Kulibau, Edson Barbosa, Dan Ige, Josh Emmett, Aaron Pico. Now, yes, there's a lot of decisions in there. Amirkhani was his, back in 2021, was the latest finish he had until Saturday night against Pico. Everything else has been decisions. But he has fought Josh Emmett, Dan Ige, Edson Barbosa. They are fantastic names. And then to get that win over Pico, I think that puts him front runner. Let's look at Movsar Evloev. Movsar Evloev with, Jesus, he's got a lot of cancelled bouts in the UFC, which is another reason why the UFC might go, are you trustworthy in terms of there's so many bouts you've had cancelled because of injury and different things. But he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 as well. 9 wins. Let's go through those wins. Sangwoo Choi, Enrique Barzola, Mike Grundy, Nick Lentz, Hakeem Dawodu, Danny Gay, good win. Diego Lopez, let's just caveat to that. Diego Lopez came in on a few days' notice and took that fight. That was not a full strength Diego Lopez. Arnold Allen in a fight that I thought Arnold beat him in. And Aljamain Sterling, which is a good win, a very good win. But I actually look at Lerone's resume and say that's better than Movsar's, given the caveats that I think Arnold beat Movsar and that the Diego Lopez win was Diego coming in on a few days' notice. I favour Lerone's resume, I really do. And then Jan Silva, I mean, what an exciting guy, but only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins in the UFC. Yes, he is scheduled to fight Diego Lopez, but he beat Weston Wilson, Charles Jourdain, Drew Dober, I can't even spell this name, Melsik Bagdasarian, and Bryce Mitchell. All of those are finishes, though. All of his 5 UFC wins are finishes. We know the UFC loves that. If he gets a finish over Diego Lopez, that'll be 6 wins and 6 finishes. But I just think 9 wins for Lerone, 6 wins for Jan Silva. 9 wins for Lerone that are better, in my opinion, than the 9 wins of Movsar Evloev. And we live in a world of recency bias. We live in a world of what's the latest thing that's happened that fans can get excited about? Our memories are very short in this sport. And Lerone's finish of Pico is going to be there now in our brains, locked in for a while. It's got to be one of the front runners for knockout of the year. And I mean, maybe I'm just biased towards Lerone. I love Lerone, but I would say it was better than the Prates one as well, which happened just a few minutes prior to it. Have you got any thoughts on their resumes or how you think that runs down or who you think's more or less deserving?
Well, yeah, as I said, a while ago, I don't think Gene Silver's there yet. I think
even with a win over Diego Lopez?
I don't think he's going to beat Diego Lopez, but
interesting.
But if he does, then when is that fight? Do you know when that fight is?
September. I think it's the Noche card, main event of the Noche card.
So I wonder if they're looking at December for Volk. I mean, I suppose if it is a spectacular first round KO, he could turn it around in time. Yeah. But I don't know. I'd like to think that you know, the fact that Volk wants Lerone wants Volk, Dana and the presser said like, yep, love it. I just think let's just get that rolling. Let's get that booked in. You know, I do think Lerone is championship material, and I think like Volk's a really good fight for him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's another one of those fights where I'm like, oh, my boys.
Yeah,
Volk and Lerone. Oh, no, guys.
Yeah.
But it has to be done.
We've managed to avoid Lerone versus Arnold, and it's like, oh, no, now he's got Volk.
But yeah, I mean, just so much love for Lerone. So much, just wishing him all the best and just hoping that, you know, he gets that title shot because he's clearly earned it. There are other people that have got a claim, yes, and they've earned it to an extent as well. But I don't know if there's anyone more deserving than Lerone Murphy right at this second. So fingers crossed he gets that shot. And December, I mean, I think a lot of the fighters as well are going, oh shit, I want to get a title fight in before the 2026 CBS Paramount deal comes in, so I get my pay-per-view points. Volk's probably eyeing that up, going, oh, I don't know what's going to go on there, so give me my money now. Give me my pay-per-views now. Because Hamzat wants a fight. We'll get onto this, but he wants to fight very, very soon as well. Before we move off from this fight, just no luck for the old PFL Bellator guys coming over, is there? Patchy Mix, Patricio Pitbull in his debut. Yes, Pitbull did get the win over Ige recently. He did win that, didn't he? Pitbull, he beat Ige. And now Aaron Pico. It feels easy to say, well, yeah, but it's just not the UFC. The UFC's better and blah, blah, blah.
I don't think it's just that. I don't think it's just that. I also think, you're fighting Lerone Murphy. Like let's look at that. Like you're fighting, you know, a top 10 fighter in a harder organisation. There is a difference between the PFL and Bellator and the UFC. The UFC is the Premiership. You know, I truly believe that. But also, you're literally doing this on your first day in a new school. So there's all sorts of like nerves. And do you know what I mean?
I love that analogy. Your first day in a new school, you got to fight Lerone Murphy.
Got to flush your head down the toilet. Like it is, it's that, everything that you know, walking out to whatever octagon you have been, it's all different. All the people, like, you know, at the back, all the staff, it's all different. It's all new. And I think all the media stuff's all different on a different level, like on a huge level. I'm sure your social media is popping off all over the place with all sorts of stuff that you've never sort of got, heard or seen before from new fans. So I think it's quite a lot to sort of get your head round. And then you're getting put in an octagon with a top 10 fighter from, you know, the Premiership organisation. And I think all of that together, as we have seen in the three examples you gave, it's not worked out well. And, you know, we've always said there's levels to this sport, and I think the UFC is the highest level.
Yeah.
But I should say, like, had Lerone not thrown that elbow, I'd like to have seen a bit more from Aaron Pico, because like I thought, as we said earlier, I thought he was looking really good. Like I thought.
Well, if you had to match make for Pico, say you're Pico's management now, and you're like, right, we need to fight someone in that featherweight division. We're still a big name. You know, we've got to have time off because he's going to have quite a severe concussion, you would imagine. Who do you pop Pico in there with when he comes back?
Well, hopefully Arnold will be fighting before then. But potentially Arnold, or potentially I don't know. Maybe he's got to fight further down than Arnold.
Yeah, he's got to fight much further. If you don't go into a fight with Arnold Allen after losing to Lerone Murphy in your debut, I think you've got to go much further back. I think you're looking at like
a Josh Emmett,
a Dan Ige, or a Giga Chikadze. Like they're 14th, 15th in that division. So I think it's someone like that. I think it's that, and that's if they're ranked. If they're, you could fight someone that's not ranked, but I think Dan Ige, Giga Chikadze is like.
Do you think they're giving Pitbull?
It'd be interesting, but I don't know. That doesn't excite me massively. I'd be more interested in a Dan Ige because I kind of feel like Dan Ige is one of those guys that's like, if you beat Dan Ige, you're probably a top 10 guy. If you don't, you ain't much. And when I say you ain't much, that sounds really disrespectful. I mean it, you can still be a very good fighter, earn a good living, all those things, but you're never going to fight for a belt. You're probably not going to knock into the top 10. So yeah, Dan Ige is probably a good gatekeeper guy in that division to test someone like Pico out on.
Okay.
And the other thing I wanted to point out about Lerone, and Prates did this earlier in the night as well, is taking their moments in the cage when it's all about them to put over one of their teammates and say to Dana,
I like that.
Oh, yeah, to sign this guy. He pushes me harder than anyone else in the gym. Sign this guy. And forgive me, I can't remember the name of the guy that Lerone was mentioning, but that I love that from him and Prates. I think they both deserve a bit of praise for that, for putting over their teammates. Right. Let's get to the main event of the evening. Khamzat Chimaev absolutely dominates Dricus du Plessis. Thoughts and feelings? You go first.
First round, like obviously the takedown happened very quickly, and I was like, "Whoa, that was rapid!" And then was it the first round he was in the crucifix? I know he was in there a couple of times, wasn't he? But I think...
Yeah, he was in the crucifix a couple of times, but the first round was there.
Yeah,
crucifix was in the first round.
I remember thinking, obviously, you're probably not going to get stopped from there because the shots you're throwing are not big shots because of the positioning. But make no mistake, I don't think anybody wants to get put in a crucifix and literally hit 50 times or whatever it was. But after that first round, then the second round went the same. We'll talk about his corner in a moment. I just got a bit bored.
Yeah, I have to say...
I was still coming down from the moon about Lerone Murphy as well. And and it was a crash then because it was a bit boring.
I'm finding it hard to articulate this in the correct way, but I was not in any way anticipating feeling the way I did after this fight. I was so buzzing for the fight. I felt like anything could happen. I felt like it could be dominance almost either way. I felt like Chimaev dominance was more likely than Dricus, but I felt like Chimaev dominance was likely. But to me, Chimaev dominance was exciting in my head. It was, he's going to just make him tap out really early, or he's going to be beating the hell out of him until he just can't take it anymore. I did think it would go potentially the way it went with him just getting the takedown so easily and so quickly. I thought that was a possibility. But what I didn't expect was just minimal damage and sort of minimal action. And I've come away from it being like, look, this is just one fight. Chimaev has had however many fights he's had in the UFC, and all of them have been incredibly exciting, whether it's been the Gilbert Burns back and forth fight, or whether it's Li Jingliang and he's picking him up and throwing him all over the octagon and tapping him out in seconds. Like, whatever it is, it's excitement from Khamzat Chimaev. And this was the only fight he's had where I've gone, oh, should I fast forward this bit? Like, and don't get me wrong, like, the respect for what he's done, the admiration for what he did in the cage to an incredible champion like Dricus du Plessis, oh, it's off the charts. The man is an unbelievable force to be reckoned with. I don't see how anyone can combat the problem that is Khamzat Chimaev. But as a fan, as a consumer of the sport, I looked at that and I went, oh, I hope this is a one-off. Because if this is the reign of Khamzat Chimaev, yes, it's incredibly impressive. Yes, give him all of the accolades and all that stuff. But I might be fast-forwarding through most of his fights.
Do you know what?
And if people have got a problem with that's just that we're fans of the sport and we like the wrestling, but I like it when it is frantic and dominant. And you know, we've seen grappling like Arman Sarukian versus Mateus Gamrot. I'm not saying you got to stand them up all the time or anything like that. I can watch grappling and be excited by it, but that wasn't it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it was so dominant and I couldn't see what Dricus was going to do. And Dricus's corner just kept saying between rounds, "You okay? Yeah, feel great, cool." And it was like, "Whoa, lads, we might need to have a little rethink here. Like, give your fighter, some alternatives and some truths here because, you know, he's getting 10-8 constantly." It's like...
That was a weird thing. He didn't. It was only 50-44, and I was like, mate, that should have been like 50-40. To me, it was like it was a 50-44 scorecard.
Yeah, Jesus.
And I was thinking to myself, nah, that he got
21 minutes, 40 seconds of control, of ground control, 12 takedowns.
I think the thing is, there's a new ruling, I don't think it's in place yet, where damage is the key factor. And by that new ruling, I would say maybe you don't give him 10-8s in every round. But by the current ruling, to my knowledge of it, it's either you got to have 2 of the 3 Ds, which is damage, dominance, and duration. Now, I don't think he did much damage for the vast majority of that fight, but he had dominance and duration for basically 24 minutes of it. So I think you have to give him 10-8s.
Yeah.
Look, every round bar round 5, maybe. So I don't fully understand that. But
I think if you just watch Prates and Murphy and you're a fight fan and then that fight comes on and you're in a bar, like you're chatting to your friends now. Like come the second or third round, you're losing interest because it wasn't an exciting fight to watch. It wasn't a fun fight to watch. And the whole thing when Dricus walked out when he was having his name announced and then like Chimaev went running over there and sort of like went for him a bit and then the kind of like that sinister sort of stare when he's on his hands and knees at the beginning. I thought, here we go. Oh.
Yeah.
And it never got out of that gear. And that's fine because that's what he's so good at. And he won the world title. He's won the title with ease. Like he made that look really easy. And I don't think he made any new fans that night.
No. I agree.
And I think anybody that had watched the UFC for the first time are not bothered or hyped to watch Chimaev fight anymore. But if they watch that event, they're definitely going to be excited to watch Lerone Murphy and Carlos Prates fight again. So if we look at...
There is a big difference between not being excited by something and not appreciating something. We're not saying that it's not what you should be doing. If you're on Khamzat's team, I'm saying fight every time like that. That's what I would say if I was his manager or on his team. I'd be like, just fight like that every time. You will rack up win after win after win. Take no damage, nothing bad for your long-term health. That's the path to victory. Go for it.
Well, let me read this out, right? Some stats I've got here, right? This kind of, if you read this as a fan, you'd think, holy shit. Like, secure 12 takedowns, 21 minutes, 40 seconds of control time. That's 88% of the duration of the fight. He outlanded du Plessis in total strikes, 529 to 45. Like, that's remarkable, isn't it? But
yeah,
boring.
But it was those little rabbit punches, wasn't it? When he had him in the crucifix, they were saying he couldn't get any power off because of the positioning. And DDP may be doing a very good defensive job in that situation. Yeah, it's just, as you say, you read those stats, you think, God, why didn't the corner throw in the towel?
Yeah.
And it's like, because he was just getting those tiny little punches the majority of the time, which, to someone like me or you might make us want to go, well, please get off me, I'll tap out. But to someone like Dricus, it's like, it's nothing.
So looking forwards now, like, does Dricus deserve a rematch?
No.
And
God,
I mean,
no. There's no way you can sell a Dricus rematch.
Like,
no way.
because,
and also, he's not got that many title defenses, has he? Only 2. Sean Strickland.
Yes. Harrison's rules apply here for these conversations.
Harrison's rules. You must have 3 title defenses before you get a rematch.
Because it's a hard sell.
I'm sure Dana is well aware of Harrison's rules. So, yeah.
No one's going to be signing
up
or getting hyped for that fight.
No one's interested in Dricus versus Khamzat 2.
So
Until Dricus puts on 2 or 3 wins, there's no one's interested. I think Dricus is quite astute when it comes to the game, and I think that he is very well aware that he's not getting a rematch anytime soon.
Oh, 100%. So with that in mind, who can deal with that wrestling and, who?
No one.
Borrelio was there, wasn't he? And I'm trying to think who else might be in
Renier
line for
Derrida.
that. He was K-side as well, yeah.
So for me, I just don't see how anyone can stop that. I've not. I mean, there might be some Renier Derrida is a very good grappler, and he's big, so maybe that's interesting. But I just don't think Renier Derrida is athletic enough to stop Khamzat. And so I'd watch it. And there'd be some intrigue, but I'm not overly... I think Khamzat has his way with him. I look at Alex Hernandez, who has got an unbelievable gas tank. And one thing I would say about Khamzat's gas tank, if people are going, oh, well, we've seen it, I've heard this, like, we saw him fight 5 rounds, so the gas tank's not an issue. I'm like, it's a very different thing fighting 5 rounds from top position, dominant position, for, as you've said, 88% of the fight. That doesn't do that much to your gas tank. When Khamzat fought Gilbert Burns or Kamaru Usman and he couldn't have his way with them in rounds 2 and 3, you saw him slow down a lot. Now, was that because he'd recently had COVID and he was still recovering? Who knows? But I don't feel like I can, like with Dricus, he got the nose job and he performed brilliantly against Rob, Izzy, Strickland. You're like, gas tank's not an issue for this guy. It's not. There's no issue with Dricus du Plessis' gas tank. We've learned that over the course of many fights. It was a problem. It's now not.
Do you think welterweight was the problem?
Well, we fought Kamaru at middleweight. So I don't know that that's the issue. I feel like I have not learned anything new about Khamzat Chimaev from this fight other than, oh, he is as good as we all thought he was. But in terms of any adversity, I mean, Alexander Hernandez is a fantastic wrestler and he's got an incredible gas tank. So that could be interesting, but I just don't think he possesses the skills of Khamzat Chimaev. I think Khamzat is a different level. And then you look at what is probably a number 1 contender fight between Kyle Borrelio and Nasruddin Imavov. Imavov, great striker, good wrestler as well, but I just don't see how he can deal with Khamzat's wrestling. Borrelio, he's a very good grappler, Borrelio. If he gets you in his guard, if Khamzat takes him down and he puts Khamzat in his guard, is that going to be interesting? Is that why Burns did so well against Khamzat? Because Khamzat was scared of the jiu-jitsu? I don't know. So maybe that's the more interesting fight. Maybe Borrelio versus Khamzat is a more interesting fight. But I look at all of those 4 contenders and I think Khamzat is a massive favourite against all 4 of them.
Yeah, I don't think many people are otherwise. Really don't.
The only thing I think is a real problem for Hamzat is if he goes, I'm going up to light heavyweight and I'm fighting Magomed Ankalaev. Then I'll go, oh, this is interesting because Magomed's so big. But no one in that middleweight division would concern me if I was on Hamzat's team as it stands.
Okay.
What do you think's next for DDP? Like, who does he go for? Who does he get? Like, we've got that Borralho versus Imavov fight. You could make Fluffy versus Renier Derrida. Or do you give Fluffy to DDP and have Renier Derrida as the next guy up? Like,
yeah, I think the UFC are going to be looking at like your Fluffies and your Hernandezes and thinking, look, these are people that are creeping up the division. That, you know, and there's quite a lot of older fighters in that division, and it's like, let's keep them apart and let's get them maybe knocking some of these Stricklands and that further down the rankings and building their profile. So I think they might keep them apart. And I hope so, because I think, you know, it'd be nice to freshen up the division with a new champ. We've got a new champ as well now. So I think it'd be nice.
That only works if the young guys win, though, doesn't it?
It does.
If you give Hernandez to Robert Whittaker and Renier Derrida to Dricus Duplessis, if Dricus and Whittaker win, then you're like, oh, fuck. That didn't work out.
Yeah, but I suppose that's the way it should be, really, shouldn't it? It's like, you know,
well, but the other option is that you give... But the other option is if you make Renier Derrida versus Fluffy Hernandez, then one of them, you know, is going through to being title contender.
Yeah, I guess.
I do understand your thought process because I think it does freshen up the division a bit.
Yeah.
But it's a risk. If you are the UFC matchmakers, it's a risk that you go, oh, we're stuck with the older guard that people are less excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Jeff Neal versus Prates. Another performance bonus handed out there to Prates. Yeah, I mean, what more do you want? Two first round spinning elbows on one card, one following the other. Like, I mean,
it was so good.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, look, I've just got written down in capital letters, oh my God. And I was just looking down to write notes for the end of the round and boom, because it was right on the buzzer, wasn't it? Wasn't it like right before the end of the round that he just went spin, bosh?
Yeah.
It was like a second to go and the sound of it was nasty. It was very different to the Pico and Lerone one in the sense that the Pico Lerone one was like, bang, hit him on the temple and he was out cold. Whereas the Prates one almost made me feel a little bit sick because you heard the sound of it. And then you saw a big gash on the side of Neal's head. And it looked like Neal wasn't out completely. He was like down there, obviously incredibly rocked. And Prates hit him with like a couple little strikes. But before that, Prates was really getting the read on him. Those knees to the body looked really, really good. He was cracking him with some left hands. And again, some good work on the mic. Put over his mate who he wants to get signed to the UFC. Called that he wanted to do his fight in Rio. He wants to fight in Rio very, very soon. I can't remember when that card is. Maybe like September or October. Wants to fight in Rio. And he wants to fight Leon Edwards. If you're Leon Edwards, are you taking that fight in Rio?
Nah. But you know who wants that fight?
Michael Venom Page. That is really interesting. If you're Prates, though, are you like, Michael Venom Page, yes, he just got a big win and he's a bit of a name, but he's ranked like 15th at welterweight. I'm moving up. I want to fight the Leon Edwards of the world and the people in that top 5. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
I don't think they're going to offer Leon anything better than that at the moment.
It's because Prates is a striker, so Leon is at least fighting a striker. But
it's very quiet.
But it's in Rio.
Front, isn't it?
Well, it is from Leon's side of things as far as I can see, but it's not quiet in terms of people calling him out. Everyone wants to fight Leon Edwards. I think the perception, and I don't think this is necessarily true, but the perception of Leon Edwards right now is he's a big name, former champion, and he has not got it anymore. He lost to Bilal, he lost to Brady, and I think, the sharks are smelling chum in the water type thing. I think they're like, Leon Edwards is my easy pathway to that ticket and that ticket to the title. And it's horrible to say that about Leon, a guy that we really like and a champion that was really, really good and flew the flag for the UK and all those things. But yeah, it is. It's
a kill or be killed sport, isn't it? And like you say, when people can see from recent performances a bit of weakness and you think, hungry fighters are going to jump all over that. And yeah, it just seems that there's been very little coming out of the Leon Edwards camp in regards to sort of moving forwards in any way, shape or form. And yeah, be interested to know what's next for Leon. And I don't know if this fight happens, then I think give him a striker in the next fight. We don't want another wrestler. Just give him a striker. No. And
but it's just the fact that it'd be in Rio is like, but as you said, another guy that we need to talk about is Michael Venom Page, who said he's well up for that fight, which, I mean, what did you think of the MVP Cannonier fight?
Yeah, I mean, I thought MVP looked fantastic for the first couple of rounds. I thought completely, really showed the fans of the UFC why everybody was saying we want Michael Venom Page in the UFC, because his striking style and his movement, he's like no one else. It's so exciting when he gets it off, and he plonked him down twice, didn't he? And I think Cannonier just couldn't work him out. He was, and it was only when MVP made a stupid mistake, I think, getting maybe a little bit too comfortable in the third, and he got took down, and then that's when we know that sometimes MVPs, that's MVP's weakness, is his ground game. We've always known that. But obviously I think he'd done more than enough in them first two rounds to secure the win. I did think it was fantastic when he plonked him down the first time, and then he was just like, calm down. Yeah. I was thinking that must be so offensive.
It was classic MVP, as you say. The first two rounds went exactly as I thought they would go. I thought Cannonier would be too slow for him. MVP was just too quick, too explosive, and he got a couple of good knockdowns in those first two rounds. And then there was an error that he made that just meant that Cannonier could just get on top of him. And Cannonier, for me, is not a great wrestler. So I look at that middleweight division, and we said this on the pre-fight show, that middleweight division has got a lot of good wrestlers in it. And you've just seen what Khamzat Chimaev did. And you're like, if you're MVP or in MVP's team and you're like, we really want to make a solid run at the belt, you got to go back down to welterweight. You have to. Saying that you will fight Prates in Rio, which I think actually might be in October. I've got written down here. That's a quick turnaround. That's good. It's a name. And if Leon Edwards is just like, no, I'm not going to fight Prates in Rio, and a guy has come out and said, I'll do it. If you're in Prates' team, it's just so difficult though, because if you're a striker, I just think whenever you sign up to fight an MVP or a Wonder Boy, they're just so unique that you need time to prepare for a fighter like that. And October isn't that far away. I think that is actually a great fight for MVP. Because yes, he could walk onto something because Prates is very good and powerful, but equally MVP is just so unique and is so skilled that you could just find yourself just swinging and hitting air for 5 rounds or 3 rounds or whatever it is. So yeah, I think that's a good call from MVP to say, yep, I'll do that. 2 months time, Rio, no problem. And then I do think the UFC might go, oh, we'd rather Prates fought someone that we think he could beat, because I think the UFC likes Prates. He's a finisher and he is a character that the fans love. The fans in Chicago were mad for Prates. They loved him. So I don't think they're going to give him MVP. I think they'll try and find a more favourable matchup for him. But I think good on MVP for making that call out. Let's hypothetically say that the Prates fight does not happen for MVP and that he stays at middleweight in his next fight. Who do you give Michael Venom Page if he's staying at middleweight?
Sean Strickland.
I don't know if that's going to
happen. They're not
going
to go easy because they're pals. And I was watching.
I think they'd want to. But I don't think they'll make that. I don't think that fight would get made.
Like Izzy's fight reaction video this morning, and I think I know MVP. Is he currently ranked in the? Would you think he'd be ranked in the middleweight division now?
Well, he's just beat Cannonier, who's 9th. So you would imagine he'd go 9th.
So. Yeah, I think Sean Strickland. I think that is an interesting clash of styles. The fight fans at Chicago love MVP. Like seeing all the response in the media stuff, all the banter between, in the fight was great. The flamboyance, like people love that. And I think you throw that in the pot with like somebody like that hasn't got a brain like Sean Strickland, that, he's just going to come out of his ridiculous nonsense, but has got a very tricky fight style that fighters like Israel Adesanya couldn't work out. I think him trying to work out MVP and MVP trying to work out Strickland, I think that's a really fun fight that will take place on its feet.
I mean, if Sean Strickland has got any sense,
he hasn't.
He will try and take MVP down. Because he's meant to be a good grappler. He put out a video about like, I'm the only guy that could grapple with Hamzat Chimaev and all this stuff. And it's like, well, you clearly rate your grappling. Let's see it against someone like MVP. Maybe you're talking me round to it. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think he's fighting anytime soon. I think he's going to be suspended at least till the rest of the year.
Good.
So I don't think he's going to be in there. I'm wondering if you give MVP the loser of Imavov Baralio. That fight should happen in Paris in September. So the timelines are similar. And I don't think MVP is going to be leapfrogging Renier de Ridder, Hernandez, or the winner of obviously Baralio, Imavov, stuff like that. That person should probably deserves the title shot. But whoever loses the Imavov Baralio fight, maybe that is the one for MVP.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Because neither of those guys are phenomenal wrestlers, but they will probably try and take MVP down, and we'll see, can you deal with that? But I think overall, I'd like to see MVP fighting at welterweight. I think that's his natural weight class. And I think there's a few people there that could be good fights. You've got Joaquin Buckley, Michael Morales. Maybe Colby Covington's an interesting fight for MVP. The build up to that fight would be fun. Colby would be a dick, would say loads of stupid stuff. MVP, I think, would be able to put him in his place. And I think you've got a situation where it's like, okay, MVP, can you handle the guy that is just going to run at you and try and take you down? And if MVP can knock out Colby Covington, he's a hero. And if Colby Covington can take MVP down and stop him, then the UFC has got Colby Covington with a win. And they like Colby for better or worse, and they can push him to wherever they want to push him to after that. Push him a bit further up the rankings, whatever.
I just keep forgetting about Covington. I'll try and
I do too. It's just that his
mind.
name's right in front of me on the rankings list. But yeah, I agree. I forget about him too.
It's because he's a prick.
But yeah, that could be interesting.
Okay. Props to Tim Elliott.
Yes.
Submitting Kaya Sakura. I thought really impressive. The fact that he turned up looking like to the media stuff looking like Forrest Gump when he literally runs across the world, and then had a nice fresh trim, and there he was. Tim Elliott emerged from under.
I didn't see that.
Did you not? He had a huge
I didn't see his look before the
long
fight.
hair, and and then on one of the embeddeds, you see him sort of go in the barbers, and they just transform him back to the Tim Elliott that we know and love, and I mean, you know,
yeah,
he's showing
credit to Tim.
Absolutely. Mounted guillotine in round 2. It's, again, we're talking about fighters that are coming to the UFC and struggling. You know, Asakura's one of them. And
I mean, like,
he
Pico
had a
losing
baptism
to
of fire, though.
But Pico losing to Lerone is one thing. Asakura losing to Pantoja is like, yeah, sure. Losing to Tim Elliott, and with all the due respect to Tim Elliott, if you're a champion in another organization, you've gone straight into a title shot, and we're thinking, all right, you're young enough, you can rebuild, you could fight for the belt in a year or two's time with 3 wins or something. You're like, oh, wow, you lost to Tim Elliott. Now my opinion is you will never, ever compete for a belt again. I just don't think, I think Tim Elliott is gatekeeper to the top 10. I think if you lose to Tim Elliott, and in the manner that he did as well, it's like, he was doing really well in that first round with his speed, his striking. Tim Elliott didn't know what to do with him. But then he caught his leg on a kick and took him down. I was like, oh, you don't know what you're doing on the ground. And then second round, the game plan was obvious, like, boom, take you down. And he did it. And it's just like, now that we've seen that, if you put him against, I don't know, Amir Albazi, Tatsuro Taira, we've obviously seen the Pantoja fight, even a Brandon Moreno, or, I mean, maybe even a Steve Erceg could go, yep, I got this, I'm going to take you down. Like, Steve Erceg's a boxer, but he does have some wrestling, and he's used it. I think he did it against O'Day Osborne recently. The flyweight division is one of the most talented divisions. They're all-rounders. They're very, very quick, great strikers and great grapplers as well. You know, can you imagine what Mohamed Makayev would do to Kai Asakura? He'd absolutely destroy him. So yeah, it's a shame because I think Kai Asakura's got that kind of like star quality, the way he looks and all these kind of things. I think he's got like a coolness to him that people could really get behind. But you've got to win those fights, and 0-2 in the UFC now, and there's a big difference to losing to Pantoja and then losing to Tim Elliott. Yeah,
so, I think they gave him Tim Elliott to kind of get a win and to sort of put himself back in the mix and probably justify whatever they paid him to come to the UFC, and that probably wasn't the outcome the UFC were expecting. No,
definitely not. An interesting story: Basangur Susukayev. He got a win over Eric Nolan. I struggled more to say Eric Nolan just then than Basangur Susukayev.
Yeah.
But he fought on the Contender Series 4 days prior. He's mates with Hamzat Chimaev.
Yeah.
Fought on the Contender Series, won, and then 4 days later is fighting at UFC 319.
Knockout winning the Contender Series.
Yeah. I don't know that there's ever been a quicker turnaround, is there?
No.
I mean, I have to say, that Nolan guy looked great. There was all this buzz about Basangur, and everyone was talking about him. Hamzat's mate, 4 days notice, turnaround, he's so good, this, that, and the other. I thought Nolan won the first round and looked fantastic. And then in the second round, something happened to his knee with those low kicks. He could barely stand it. At one point, he was like holding his knee after a kick, and then he got taken down and rear naked choked. Basangur Susukayev, let's keep an interest. Let's see what happens to him.
Yeah.
But I actually, go on.
That was due to, that got bumped up, didn't it? Because of
there was
Brian
King
Battle.
Green was off and Brian Battle missed weight again. We can talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested in what Basangur does. But equally, Eric Nolan came in on short notice on his UFC debut. And I thought went up a weight class as well, by the way, for a very talented guy by all accounts. And I thought looked really good. And I am really excited to actually see Eric Nolan fight again. down at welterweight in his natural weight class. And let's see what this guy does. I've definitely got an interest in seeing what his future is. Oleg Zaitchuk got the KO over Gerald Meerschaert. Oleg Zaitchuk over at the Fighting Nerds now, the Polish man over in Brazil with the Fighting Nerds. And since joining them is 2-0 in the UFC. So good to him. Jessica Andrade, Lupita Godinez. Godinez won 29-28. I wasn't watching this closely enough, but when I watched in the third round, I was like, oh, Andrade is really giving it some. And regardless of the result, I just think we're going to miss Jessica Andrade when she's gone. She makes fights fun. And sometimes in divisions where you need a little bit more action and fun in some of those divisions. And she really brings it. And I'm a big Jessica Andrade fan. I know she's not what she was. She's getting that bit older. She's losing a step or two. But I just think we're going to miss her when she's gone. I think she brings it every time, and she's an exciting fighter. I really like Jessica Andrade.
You mentioned, that she's not what she was. Now, what we did see from Alexander Hernandez is a touch of what he used to be when obviously he come into the UFC, went on an absolute tear, was being tipped to be the biggest thing in that division, and then it all seemed to go to shit. And stepped in against Chase Hooper at the weekend, and knocked him out in the first round. And it was Hernandez can be a really exciting fighter when everything's going the right way, and I think we saw that at the weekend. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that.
Yep, absolutely. You mentioned Brian Battle missed weight by 4 pounds, and his fight got pulled. This is after he missed weight by, again, quite a large amount, 4 or 5 pounds, whatever it was, against Randy Brown when he was down at welterweight. I don't know what his future is, but I don't know what's going on in his life. But from the outside looking in, if you're a welterweight and you have weight issues, and then the UFC make you move up to middleweight, and by the way, I don't remember much of an apology when he missed weight against Randy Brown. It was sort of like, oh, well, he got his extra money, so who cares type vibe. And then he's gone to middleweight and missed weight by 4 pounds again, not by half a pound, not by 1 pound, by 4 pounds.
They need to change his name to Brian the Weight Battle. There's your weekly dad joke there. Enjoy.
Oh, wow. That to me, maybe this is unfair. It reeks of just discipline issues. I don't know what he's got going on in his personal life. But
to miss weight at welterweight and go up to middleweight and then miss weight by 4 pounds in the middleweight, come on, man. It's
£15 difference, man. Like, I don't understand that at all. £15 difference between the weight classes, and you still missed weight? That has to be a discipline issue. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something going on with his health that we're not privy to. And if that is the case, then I hope he gets better. And, but it just doesn't seem right. And missing weight like that is just not a good look. And I would not be surprised if the UFC go, do you know what, mate? See you later. Go somewhere else and prove that you can do this properly.
Because we have got our hands full with Lerone Murphy versus Alec Volkanovski for the title, because that's what we all want. Right. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't think so. Should we just have a quick look at what is upcoming? Just to wet the old whistle. Johnny Walker versus Zhang up at light heavyweight. Zhang's a big knockout artist, and Johnny Walker can get clipped. Also on that card, Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling. Also on that card, Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Sergey Pavlovich up at heavyweight. Have we got a future heavyweight contender in Waldo Cortez Acosta? Other than that, Lonnie Kavanagh is fighting against Charles Johnson. Kiefer Crosby is fighting. So Ireland's Kiefer Crosby is fighting. And I don't know if Michel Pereira is being punished here for his last fight, which was atrocious. But he's fighting Carl Dorcas at middleweight, and it's down on the prelims, and it's not even the featured prelim, as it says here anyway. And that just makes me think he did such a bad fight in his last fight. I can't remember who that was against, but he had such a boring, bad fight that they're punishing him by putting him down a few levels, because he should be on the main card of this. He's, other than that one fight he had that was a stinker, every fight he's had has been incredibly exciting. I'm a huge Michel Pereira fan. So for them to have stuck him so far down on a card like this, it's not great. And it's coming at you live from China. So I don't know what that means time difference wise. Is that going to be like a midday start or something?
That'd be good.
So what's this? The 23rd. When's the 23rd? Is that this Saturday? 23rd, yeah. So if you're not aware, we could have, it might be like an 11 a.m. or midday card start time coming at you live from China with a few decent fights, as we've said. Lonnie Kavanagh, Michel Pereira, Kiefer Crosby, Cortez Acosta Pavlovich is a big fight at heavyweight. Brian Ortega, Aljamain Sterling, fantastic grappling matchup there at featherweight. And Johnny Walker Zhang, we could see a incredible knockout from Zhang there at home in China against Johnny Walker. So I think that's actually a really exciting card, and you watch it in the afternoon.
Bingo. What more do you want? We'll be back next week to discuss that and all the other things that are happening in the world of MMA. I think all that's left for us to say now is goodbye.
Goodbye. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Be safe out there. Love you.